There is nothing more frustrating than stepping back to admire a freshly painted room only to see it start bubbling or cracking or peeling just a few months down the line. It's like you did all the work, you spent the money, but the finish is failing. So today, let's put on our detective hats and solve the mystery of your peeling paint once and for all.
So you're asking, why is my paint peeling? And believe me, you are not alone in asking this question. It can feel like the paint just has a mind of its own, but I promise you it doesn't.
And that's the key, right? It is so frustrating. But paint doesn't just peel for no reason. There's always a cause, and once we find it, you have the power to fix it for good. We just need to play detective for a few minutes. And like any good detective story, our investigation is going to start with a lineup of the usual suspects. These are the most common culprits behind pretty much every case of peeling paint. All right, here's our lineup. First up, you've got moisture and humidity. I like to call this one the silent paint pusher. Next, poor surface preparation, which basically means the new paint has nothing to grab onto. Suspect number 3 is a classic repeat offender, painting directly over old, flaky paint. Fourth on the list is using the wrong paint type for the job. And finally, our most serious suspect, a hidden leak behind the wall. This quote really gets right to the heart of our number one suspect, doesn't it? I mean, if there's any moisture, the battle is lost before you even crack open the paint can. Whether we're talking about humidity from a shower or a sneaky hidden leak, water is paint's ultimate enemy. Okay, now get ready for this number. A staggering 80% of a successful, long-lasting paint job has nothing to do with the paint itself. It's all about the prep work. So this makes poor prep our most frequent offender by a long shot. So we have our suspects, but how do we know which one is guilty? Well, your wall is actually giving you clues. The specific way the paint is peeling is like a fingerprint, and it points directly to the cause of the crime.
Let's break down the evidence here. If you're seeing bubbles or blisters, you are almost certainly looking at trapped moisture, or maybe even heat. Think bathrooms, kitchens, or right around windows. Now, if the paint is coming off in those long, weirdly satisfying but super frustrating strips, that's a dead giveaway for poor adhesion. The wall just wasn't ready for paint. And what if you see a cracked pattern that looks kind of like dried mud? Well, that has a very specific name. That pattern is called alligatoring. It's what happens when a flexible paint, like latex, is slapped on top of a hard, old, oil-based paint without using the right primer first. The two layers are basically at war with each other, and the top one cracks under the pressure. Okay, so the investigation is complete. We've looked at the evidence. We've identified the culprit. Now it's time to close this case and apply the definitive professional-level fix that ensures this problem never, ever comes back. Look, the fix is a 5-step process, and you gotta follow the order. First, you must fix the root cause, stop that leak, vent the humidity. Second, scrape and sand off all the loose paint. Seriously, no cheating here. Third, repair any damage and then prime the wall. Primer is absolutely non-negotiable. It's the glue that makes the new paint stick. Fourth, choose the right paint for the right room. And finally, apply 2 clean, even coats. That's how you get a flawless finish that's gonna last for years. All right, now that we've fixed the immediate problem, let's talk about prevention. How do you make sure you never have to play paint detective again? Let's talk about how to future-proof your walls. Here's your game plan. It's pretty simple. 1, always manage moisture with fans and vents. 2, never, ever skip the prep work, the cleaning, sanding, and priming. 3, always use the right paint for the room you're in. And 4, think of paint as this protective shield for your walls. It needs to be reapplied every 5 to 7 years to keep doing its job. So we'll end with this question. The next time you see a paint bubble, don't just see it as an ugly cosmetic problem.